Imagine installing brand new spark plugs in your engine. You believe you just improved fuel economy, engine power, and reliability. But what if those spark plugs were fake? Not defective, not worn out, counterfeit. In recent years, mechanics and automotive parts distributors have discovered something alarming. A growing number of spark plugs sold online and through unofficial suppliers are counterfeit products. Some look nearly identical to the real thing. Same logos, same packaging, even the same part numbers. But inside they are completely different, and the consequences can be serious. Misfires, poor fuel economy, catalytic converter damage. In extreme cases, even engine damage costing thousands of dollars. Today we're going to break down the results of a real spark plug test. We purchased $500 worth of spark plugs from multiple sellers and inspected them closely. The results were surprising. Nearly 30% were fake. Stay until the end, because we'll show you how to spot counterfeit spark plugs before they damage your engine. Why spark plugs matter more than you think. Spark plugs perform one of the most critical jobs in an engine. They ignite the air-fuel mixture inside each cylinder. This ignition creates the controlled explosion that powers the engine. A single spark plug may fire thousands of times per minute. During highway driving, that can mean millions of sparks every day. Because of this extreme workload, spark plugs must be manufactured with precise materials and tolerances. Even small defects can lead to serious problems. That's why manufacturers like NGK, Denso, Bosch, and others invest heavily in quality control. Unfortunately, counterfeit manufacturers copy the appearance of these products without matching their internal design. Section 1. The Spark Plug Test. To understand how widespread the problem is, we purchased multiple spark plugs from various sources. These included authorized parts stores, online marketplaces, independent sellers. The goal was simple. Compare spark plugs from different sources and examine them for authenticity. Each plug was inspected for packaging accuracy, electrode design, material quality, weight, and dimensions. Some plugs were also examined under magnification. Others were tested inside engines to observe real performance. The first warning sign: packaging differences. At first glance, most spark plug boxes looked legitimate. The logos and colors appeared correct. A closer inspection revealed small differences. On several counterfeit boxes we noticed slightly blurred printing, incorrect font spacing, unusual packaging materials. One common clue was inconsistent labeling. Real manufacturers typically use very precise printing and labeling standards. Counterfeit products often show subtle inconsistencies. For example, misaligned text, incorrect hologram placement, missing manufacturing codes. These details are easy to miss unless you know what to look for. The weight difference. Another surprising discovery came from weighing the spark plugs. Authentic spark plugs often have very consistent weight because they use specific metal alloys. Several counterfeit plugs weighed noticeably less. This suggested lower quality materials inside the plug. Lower grade metals cannot handle heat and electrical stress as effectively. Over time, this can lead to premature failure. Electrode quality problems. The electrode is the most important part of a spark plug. This is where the spark actually forms. Modern spark plugs often use precious metals such as iridium, platinum. These metals resist heat and wear. They allow spark plugs to last 60,000 to 100,000 miles or more in many engines. But counterfeit spark plugs often use cheaper materials instead. During inspection, some fake plugs showed rough electrode surfaces, uneven metal tips, incorrect electrode spacing. These flaws affect spark consistency. An inconsistent spark leads to incomplete combustion. Section 2. The engine test. The next step was installing the plugs into a test engine. Some of the counterfeit plugs appeared to function normally at first, but under load, problems quickly appeared. The engine experienced intermittent misfires, rough acceleration, reduced fuel efficiency. Spark plugs must fire precisely under pressure and high temperature. When their materials or design are flawed, the spark can weaken or fail intermittently. Even occasional misfires can cause serious problems over time. The hidden cost of counterfeit plugs. Many drivers assume spark plugs are simple components, but poor ignition can create a chain reaction inside the engine. Misfires allow unburned fuel to enter the exhaust system. That fuel burns inside the catalytic converter. Over time, this overheating can damage the converter. Catalytic converter replacement can cost $800 to $2,500 or more, all because of faulty spark plugs that might have cost only a few dollars. Section 3. The Microscopic Inspection. After the initial inspection, several spark plugs were examined under magnification. This is where the differences became much more obvious. Genuine spark plugs are manufactured with extremely precise machining. The threads are clean and uniform. The electrode tips are perfectly aligned, and the insulator ceramic is smooth and consistent. But under magnification, many counterfeit plugs revealed problems. These included rough thread edges, uneven electrode tips, tiny cracks in the ceramic insulator. These flaws may seem small, but inside an engine where temperatures can exceed 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit, even minor imperfections can cause failure. The internal construction difference. One of the most important discoveries came after cutting open several spark plugs. Inside a genuine spark plug, the center electrode is supported by specialized insulation and conductive materials designed to handle intense heat and electrical stress. Manufacturers use carefully engineered materials to control spark stability and heat dissipation. However, when technicians opened several counterfeit plugs, the internal construction was noticeably different. Some used cheaper insulating materials, others had poorly secured center electrodes. This can cause unstable spark behavior. Over time, vibration and heat may cause these internal parts to loosen or fail. Once that happens, the spark plug can misfire or stop firing completely. Heat range problems. Spark plugs are designed with specific heat ranges. The heat range determines how quickly the spark plug transfers heat away from the combustion chamber. If the heat range is incorrect, several problems can occur. A spark plug that runs too hot can cause pre-ignition, detonation, piston damage. A spark plug that runs too cold may accumulate carbon deposits. This leads to fouling and misfires. Many counterfeit plugs do not match the correct heat range specified by the manufacturer. Even if they look identical on the outside, their internal design may cause them to operate outside the intended temperature range. The thread quality issue. Another difference appeared in the threading of the spark plugs. Spark plug threads must be precisely machined to ensure a proper seal with the cylinder head. If the threads are slightly incorrect, two problems can occur. First, the plug may not seal properly. This allows combustion gases to leak past the threads. Second, poorly machined threads increase the risk of damaging the cylinder head during installation. Repairing damaged spark plug threads can require special inserts or cylinder head repairs, costing $300 to $1,000 depending on the engine. This is another reason counterfeit spark plugs are risky. The electrode material problem. Modern long-life spark plugs typically use precious metals such as iridium or platinum. These materials resist erosion caused by repeated electrical sparks. Iridium spark plugs, for example, can last 80,000 to 100,000 miles in many engines. However, counterfeit spark plugs often imitate these designs using cheaper metals. Under testing, several fake plugs showed electrode wear far earlier than expected. After only a few thousand miles of simulated engine operation, the electrode edges began rounding off. This reduces spark intensity. Weaker spark leads to incomplete combustion and reduced engine efficiency. The misfire chain reaction. Misfires caused by faulty spark plugs create more than just rough engine performance. They trigger a chain reaction inside modern vehicles. Unburned fuel entering the exhaust system raises exhaust temperatures. This can damage components such as catalytic converters, oxygen sensors, exhaust valves. Catalytic converters are particularly vulnerable. They are designed to process exhaust gases, not burn excess fuel. Excess heat can melt internal catalyst materials. Replacing a catalytic converter often costs $1,000 to $2,500 or more, all from a set of counterfeit spark plugs that may have cost only a few dollars less. Why counterfeit parts are increasing. Counterfeit automotive parts have become more common in recent years. Several factors contribute to this problem. Online marketplaces allow third-party sellers to distribute parts globally. Some counterfeit products are manufactured to look extremely convincing. Even experienced technicians sometimes struggle to identify them at first glance. High-demand parts like spark plugs are particularly targeted because they are inexpensive, widely used, and easy to ship. For counterfeit manufacturers, this creates a profitable opportunity. Unfortunately, drivers are often the ones who pay the price. Mechanics who deal with counterfeit parts often start with a simple comparison. They compare the spark plug with a known genuine one. Even when counterfeit plugs look convincing, small details often reveal the difference. Common signs include slightly different electrode shape, inconsistent ceramic color, incorrect logo engraving, unusual weight differences. Another important detail is the manufacturing code. Major spark plug manufacturers use precise batch numbers and serial codes. If a spark plug lacks these codes or shows inconsistent markings, it may not be authentic. These small details often reveal counterfeit products before they ever reach the engine. The installation clue. Many mechanics notice. Even during installation, counterfeit spark plugs sometimes behave differently. Technicians report that fake plugs often feel unusual when threading them into the cylinder head. For example, threads may feel rough, torque may feel inconsistent, the plug may not seat smoothly. A genuine spark plug typically threads in easily and evenly. If a plug feels unusual during installation, it should be inspected carefully before continuing. Forcing a poorly machined spark plug into the cylinder head can damage the threads. Repairing damaged spark plug threads can cost $300 to $800 depending on the engine design. Section 5. The early warning signs after installation. Sometimes drivers only discover counterfeit spark plugs after installing them. Fortunately, engines often show early warning signs when ignition components are faulty. These include rough idle, hesitation during acceleration, reduced fuel economy, engine misfire warnings. Modern vehicles monitor combustion quality through sensors. If misfires occur, the engine computer may trigger a check engine light. Ignoring these symptoms can lead to further damage. Replacing faulty spark plugs early prevents larger problems from developing. Where mechanics recommend buying spark plugs. Most technicians recommend purchasing ignition components from reliable sources. These include authorized auto parts stores, manufacturer dealerships, trusted distributors. These suppliers obtain parts directly from manufacturers or approved distribution channels. This greatly reduces the risk of counterfeit components entering the supply chain. Online marketplaces can still be convenient, but mechanics often advise checking the seller carefully and avoiding deals that seem unusually cheap. When the price appears far below normal retail levels, it's worth asking why. Why spark plug quality matters for modern engines. Modern engines rely heavily on precise combustion. Even small ignition problems can affect several systems. Poor spark quality can lead to incomplete combustion, increased fuel consumption, carbon buildup on valves, higher emissions. Over time, these issues place additional stress on engine components. Spark plugs may seem like small parts, but their role in engine operation is extremely important. Using high-quality ignition components helps maintain stable combustion and efficient engine performance. Section 6. The real lesson from the spark plug test. The spark plug test revealed something important. Counterfeit parts exist, but the larger lesson is about awareness. Drivers often assume new parts are automatically reliable. In reality, the quality of replacement parts depends heavily on where they come from. Even small components like spark plugs play a major role in engine health. A single faulty plug can create a chain reaction affecting fuel efficiency, emission systems, catalytic converters. Choosing reliable parts reduces these risks significantly. Spark plugs may be small, but they operate under extreme conditions. They fire thousands of times per minute, in temperatures hotter than most industrial machinery. When they are built correctly, they last tens of thousands of miles. But when they are poorly manufactured or counterfeit, they can cause serious engine problems. The best protection is simple. Buy parts from reliable sources, inspect them carefully, and pay attention to how the engine behaves after installation. These habits help ensure your engine receives the ignition performance it was designed for.